Hey guys, it's Niyareacts back with another episode. So today we are going to be we're not watching the whole thing, I'm not doing that. But I am going to just show like most of like the highlights, more of like the more interesting discussions. But YouTube video was uploaded about 3 weeks ago, so I'm a little late, but I'm like, I have to do a reaction on this because it seems like it's really good. But it's called Is Being Fat a Choice? Fit Men versus Fat Men. I think it's Middle Ground. That's who's hosted it. If you are not subscribed, please do so. Don't just watch the video and don't subscribe. Like, come on, support your girl. And if you are a subscriber, thank you so much for subscribing. Really appreciate you. Your support means the mostest. But like, share, subscribe, share, all of that. So let's get into it.
Do you think just being in a fat body and being in the public space encourages obesity?
Yes.
Shame is what led me to an eating disorder.
Whose fault is that,
what
though?
we're looking for is
Whose fault
stability.
Is that? That's your fault.
It's
See, the
an
problem is that you're a
amalgamation.
professional victim.
Would you agree, like, looking at his physique, like, he's at a perfectly, I would say, maybe healthy?
No.
You think?
He's definitely overweight, definitely obese.
Seems like it's gonna be good, yeah. Woo. Y'all get y'all popcorn ready. I already ate, so I don't need nothing, but y'all get y'all popcorn.
My name's John. I host the Radical Empathy podcast. I used to direct episodes of Middle Ground, but I'll now be moderating today's discussion between jacked men and fat men. Our first prompt is, I have felt disgusted looking at a fat body. Can our agreeers please step forward?
Oh, Myron.
Whoever feels compelled to start us off.
Well, it's unacceptable to be fat.
Myron, of course, they have to have this controversial Myron
That's a
on
great
there.
start.
Now, my thing with Myron, and if you guys don't know who Myron is, for my ladies, most men who watch YouTube, y'all already know who Myron is, but for my ladies, Myron is one of the hosts for Fresh and Fit podcast, and it's pretty much a male-driven show, podcast. They talk about a lot of male thing. It's what you call the red pill content. And yeah, so I'm not surprised they have him on there because it seems like it's going to be very controversial. And Myron is known, honey, not to hold back. And my thing with him, I actually agree with a lot of what he says. It's just about how he says it, you know. Maybe that's just a sensitive part of me, but I think that you can express yourself, especially to a woman, things that are truthful but in a very tasteful way, you know. I don't believe in demeaning or saying harsh things to people. You know, I think that sometimes you have to be very straightforward with certain types of people, but for the most part, you don't have to really bash them. And I feel like that's kind of what he does. He's very truthful, though. That's where I'm conflicted, because a lot of what he says is truthful, but it's how he says it. But anyway, let's go.
I mean, I know why you say that, but it's one of those things where, do you know why you're saying that?
Yes, because I've been fat before and I lost the weight.
Well, me too. I've been fat my whole life. I've been way skinnier than I am now, and I've been way heavier than I am now. Was I less valuable at one point in there?
Well, I mean, you can make an argument that you're less valuable when you're fatter because you drain resources, but that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, I mean, in general, being fat is unacceptable because you control every single morsel of food that goes into your mouth.
Okay.
It shows a lack of discipline, it shows a lack of character, it shows a lack of temperance, and when you're fat, it's an outward manifestation of your inadequacy.
That statement is very factual. It is. And for me, and this is just my personal decision, based off of the way that I was raised, my beliefs, my core values, just things that are very important to me. I've always said that my husband has to be in shape. has to have some level of fitness. I'm not saying he has to be a bodybuilder, but being physically fit, taking care of your body says a lot about who you are. How a person takes care of their temple says a whole lot about who they are. And if you disagree with that, I'm sorry, but I have to say that I agree with that 100%. And if you guys don't believe, if you think that it's very subjective to say that, I want you guys to read books. I really want you guys to read The Law of Human Nature. That book right there is so impactful. It will teach you so many things about the human mind and human nature that many of us are blinded by.
Somebody who's 500 or 600 pounds, all I can think of is, why do they care so little about their health that they can do this, allow themselves to gain that much weight, knowing it's taken 20, 30, 40 years off their life? I just can't imagine not wanting to live that badly.
I understand that. No, it's I've definitely felt disgusted looking at my own body and looking at other fat bodies in my life. A lot of the disgust I felt looking at people was me feeling disgusted with myself and then projecting that feeling onto other people. And I don't think anyone on either side will disagree that health is important. I know that my own mental health was way worse when I was spending every fixate of my life trying to get smaller and trying to be thinner.
I don't think there's anyone that can look at somebody 500, 600, 700 pounds and not think, wow, what have they done? And not be disgusted. Like, how can you not? I just can't understand.
You can't
nobody
assume that everyone has the same opinion, though, because unfortunately, some people have emotional stuff that happened, traumatic stuff that's happened, so you can't discount and just say, because they're fat.
And for him to say that, it's like,
there's way worse stuff going out in the world.
You can't discredit
saying,
our
oh my
human
God,
nature, our human tendencies. When we see something that is out of the norm, we naturally feel some type of way. Like, for example, if you see a child crying, a woman who sees a child crying, in her nature, she's going to want to figure out what's wrong with the child. If not, she's going to try and hold the child, right? Now, if you don't, then you trained your mind. You trained yourself to not allow that to trigger you. But for a woman's natural nature, if you hear or see a baby crying, you're going to want to figure out, okay, what's wrong? Do you want me to hold the baby? Like, you're trying to figure it out. Same thing when you see a person who is severely overweight, you're gonna naturally look and see, okay, what's going on? Like, do they have a health condition? Like I'm not gonna be disgusted when I see someone who is overweight, but I am in the back of my mind gonna be like, man, like, what's going on? And for those who don't, you've trained yourself. You trained yourself to not judge a person by the way that they look. Not to say that that's a good thing or a bad thing, but you trained yourself, and to say that it's not natural for you to see someone who is severely overweight and be like, oh, I'm not disgusted. Like, come on, let's be real. Human nature, your natural instincts, we all have it. God has given it to us for a reason.
I'm going to eat some ice cream. It's like, no, dude, it's like, you're fat, you made that decision. You live in the best country ever. If you live in a civilized first world country where you have electricity, internet power, etc., you deserve to be bullied. It's ridiculous to me that we have all these fat people running around. Meanwhile, people are being bombed in Gaza. It's ridiculous. We are so privileged here in the United States and in the West in general. When I see a fat person, I'm like, wow, you got the gift of life. You got the gift of being in a developed country, and you're a fat POS talking about body positivity on TikTok? What the hell is going on
But now
here?
you're segmenting, though, because not everyone thinks like that.
No, we need to bring shaming back.
Okay.
We need to bring shaming back in so many other regards besides obesity. We need to do it with sluts. We need to shame fat people. We need to shame everybody when they fuck up. Because shame has been one of the strongest defenses against degeneracy and human fuck-ups.
You had a personal experience you wanted to share. You said you used to be overweight. Now you're not.
Oh yeah. So I did an experiment back in like 2015 where I like bulked for like almost 2 years, and I got up to like 250 pounds, and then I dieted down. It took me about 7 months. I systematically did it, controlled my calories, tracked my macros, tracked my protein, carbs, fats, and systematically lost 1 to 2 pounds per week.
So you chose to gain up to 250.
Yeah,
you were
so
naturally
I've been in all
skinny
spectrums.
beforehand.
Like I'm naturally skinny.
Yeah.
And then I was like, all right, I'm gonna get fat as an experiment.
Yeah.
Did it, and then I was like, all right, now I'm gonna lose the weight. And then all I did was just track my calories, ate the same food every single day.
Yeah.
Went to the gym 4 or 5 times a week, and everything was controlled, and it got done. Was it monotonous? Of course. Was it boring?
No,
Of
yeah,
course.
I agree with you there. I am naturally this way. This is with working out 4 or 5 times a week.
That's not true.
This is 100% true, bro.
Nah, bro.
No,
Come to the gym with
it's
me.
not.
This is me
It's not
working out.
natural at all, because at the end of the day, if you don't lose weight, by definition, you're not in a calorie deficit. If you're not in a calorie deficit,
And I know black people, for all my other cultures and stuff, maybe y'all can relate to this too, but black people, we love to be like, oh, we just thick. You know, it's a part of our culture. We just naturally like this. Well, no, we are not. We just overly eat. And the thing about black people, we eat for every occasion. We eat for birthday celebrations. We eat for graduation celebrations. We eat Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, 4th of July, Memorial Day. I'm sure somebody had a barbecue. Black people, we overeat. And then we have the audacity to say, oh, we're just bigger. We're just a bigger group of people. That's not true. If you stay in a calorie deficit, meaning that you move more and eat less, you're going to lose the weight. And to say that you are naturally like that is just an excuse. I've been there too. I've gained weight. I've lost weight for many years. I've been on this fitness journey for so many years. But I realized that when I gain weight, it's because I'm overeating and I'm not moving enough. Working from home, I've noticed that, you know, like I have to control my calories. I have to make sure that I work out consistently, because when you're working from home, you're not out moving like how people who work on site are, you know, so we can't use the excuse of we're naturally like that when we are just eating. And some of the foods too, people don't realize, you know, you may think that you have a bag of chips and a soda all day, but again, if you are not moving a lot, you're going to gain weight, because that soda and those bags of chips, they have so many calories in it. You'll be surprised if you just tracked all the food that you eat, you will be shocked by how many calories a bag of chips is. You'll be shocked to see how much grams of sugar one bottle of soda has in it. Like, these all contribute to weight gain.
you're gonna either maintain or gain weight, and that's the problem, is that people don't track their calories.
And that's true, but people burn at their resting metabolic rate a different set of calories.
Doesn't matter.
Let's not get too granular right now. Ragini, it's going to be one of those episodes, right? Let's bring in the disagreeers and hear from them.
Okay, so the reason I disagreed, especially when I heard the statement, I don't think I'll ever look at somebody based on their situation and think that I'm disgusted. Like, if I see somebody that's a drug addict on the street that's homeless, I'm not disgusted by that. If I see somebody that's incredibly overweight, I'm not disgusted by that. Do I think that there's an opportunity for growth? Do I think they've been put in a disadvantageous position that's probably makes it harder for them? Absolutely. I think I'm kind of an empath, so when I see somebody, I know that there's things underlying, and one of my best friends is 400 plus pounds. I've helped him lose 150, 200 pounds. He's gained it back. And I don't look at him and say, I'm disgusted, but I know how bad he wants it. And just seeing how hard he tries and then reverts, it's almost more tough for me than to be like, oh, that's disgusting, you know? And I think there's plenty of people that look at me and say, that's disgusting. I never want to look like that. So like, I know what it feels like on the other side to like look the way I do and get people look at me like, ugh, that's gross to like have that muscle. And to go back to that point, like you came from a fit place and like deciding to bulk, like that's a conscientious decision to gain weight.
Myron's eyes, the way that he looks, it's so hilarious. Like, his face should just be a meme, like an emoji, because every time like he looks at someone, it's like this creepy, crazy maybe it's just me. Y'all comment, tell me what y'all think. But Myron, you need to work on your facials, boo.
Like you already have those habit routines in shape, and then you use those same skills you had to pull back on the calories and knowledge you had.
The reason why I use that example is that you can get fat and lose the weight if you know what you're doing and you have the knowledge and everything else like that. It's just about consistency over time. So it's like, I look at it like...
let me cut you off, because here's one thing that you just
Before
said.
Tevin goes in, because Tevin has a lot to say in this episode. Myron says something, about consistency. Consistency is very important. Not just in fitness, but just overall success. So please keep that in mind. It's not just about fitness. Fitness is just an outward example of how consistency is achieved over time. But your career success and relationships, whatever you are trying to achieve, consistency is very important, okay? And if you don't practice consistency and you don't try to achieve consistency on a day-to-day, you're going to have a hard time achieving things. And I know that there are people in life who, in their mind, they want to succeed, but they won't succeed because they don't have the level of consistency. That's the only way that you're going to enter success. There's no there's no gray area in consistency. So just keep that in mind. If you're trying to achieve something, you have to be consistent. And consistency is not just a routine, like you do it every day. It's just being consistent. If you're going to work out 5 times a week, do that. Not to say that you have to work out the same day, but just make that a part of your weekly routine. If you're going to save a certain amount of money, make sure that you are doing that consistently so that your bank account will grow. If you're trying to change a career path, you have to do whatever is necessary to get into the field. You can't just dream on it. You just can't make excuses. You have to be consistent at it. All right, Tevin. Go ahead, boo.
Yeah.
You had the tools. So there's people that don't have the tools that you've passed judgment on, and you have failed to realize that with the tools, people are very much capable of achieving amazing things. But
okay, let's talk about set
no,
tools.
hold on, I'm not done.
Why you cut me off
I'm
before,
not done.
remember?
And I stood over there and I listened to you, and I was like, it's a ton of bullshit too.
Oh, sure.
But we're gonna address this, right?
Yeah.
Kinda zesty, ain't he?
You are passing judgment on people who lack the tools to do what it is that they need to do to get themselves to a certain point of health. There are multitudes of factors that weighs into what goes on with somebody's body. There are people that even if they work out, losing the weight does not come as simple as just going to the gym, cutting calories, watching everything that you eat. There are some people that have a disposition. I have a disposition. But does that mean that I'm not active? Does that mean that I'm not doing certain things? No, it doesn't.
I'm going to cut you off, Tevin. I believe that making excuses will not get you far in life. Not just men, not just women, everybody. Excuses will not get you far in life. Now, not to say that, to discredit what he's saying about there are different factors, yes. People can get depressed. Some people can go through life changes like COVID. For me, child, I gained so much weight during COVID. I was like, ooh, I gained about 30 pounds, COVID. But I own that. I'm not blaming COVID. I own that I was overeating. I was eating everything on sight, baby. Okay? I own that. But guess what I did? I lost that 30 pounds. When I'm stressed, I'm breaking out of that habit now. But before, honey, when I'm stressed, I'm on Uber Eats trying to find something to eat. I'm not even that hungry, but it's just the trigger of wanting to eat when I'm stressed. I own that. I'm not blaming my stress. I'm not blaming anyone. And we have to get out of the habit of making excuses, baby. Like, stop making excuses. That's what's going to keep you down. That's going to keep you from achieving things that you want to achieve in life. Okay? So the excuse is, Tevin, no.
Passing judgment on somebody's body that you know nothing about. Now, on the flip side, what if I turned around and I did the same thing to you? You're talking about how fit and stuff that you are, but you're over there and you're smallest compared to these other guys. So how does that feel if someone comes? No, because you said shame, right?
That's a little.
You said shame, right?
Yeah.
So how does that feel if someone comes up and they start shaming you for size? Like, come on, it goes both ways.
We're just in the first
So,
prompt. We got to be
here's the
careful
thing.
about targeting each other too directly. You
No, I mean,
definitely-
I'm not offended. It's fine. He's
No,
emotional,
it goes
and that's
in
fine.
every direction.
He's obviously very triggered.
Oh,
But yeah,
not
so let's talk
triggered.
about, let's hit the first part, tools. What are the tools? The tools are simply knowledge, which you can get for free on the internet. If you have the ability and the discipline to go out there and get the knowledge, then you're gonna lose weight. It's just that simple. It's just that people wanna always make excuses for why, oh, my feelings, oh, I don't know what, you don't know what people are going through, blah, blah, blah. No. You can watch your calories, you can go to the gym, you have time to do it. People just like to make excuses.
I don't think anyone's debating that weight loss is impossible here. I think the question is, why do you hate fat people, that you feel the disgust towards it?
Well, like I said before, it's a culmination of a bunch of bad decisions. I'm not going to go ahead and give the same level of respect to someone who's a fat ass to someone that has worked really hard and diligently on their manifestations,
There's more
other decisions,
factors to a
your
human
consistency.
being than their body.
Well, you could judge a lot just off of someone's physique. You'd be like, okay, well, this guy is lazy, and that's personified through their physique. It's the truth.
Abe, I saw you wanted to say something.
Just to take it back to the prompt, I think we just kind of went all over the place there.
We're still focusing on the word disgust.
Just the word disgust. I mean, I would never look at someone and show disgust towards them. I mean, I think I would respect, like you said. I mean, you don't respect everyone, like you said, but I think
Respect is earned.
I mean, it is earned, but I mean, I think at a humane level, we can learn to appreciate each other's differences.
Yeah, I don't know if like disgust would be the right word, right?
I know.
Greg mentioned some health implications with being overweight or obese.
Yeah.
I think being concerned might be a better.
That's the word I was going to go
better
for.
word.
Like
but-
I can show concern for someone for the way that they are, but I would never look at someone and say like, you're disgusting.
But is it any
Like-
different than if you see somebody who's extremely anorexic, they're 50 pounds, you look at them, you're in shock. Oh my God, like something happens in your body you can't
human
control.
nature.
You can't stop that.
There
Like
could
how
be
can
there
you
could be a
not?
shock
It's not, I don't
factor, but
hate them.
that's different
It's just,
from-
wow, oh my God, it's disgusting. Like holy goodness
But
gracious.
why
That's a
would
shock
you
factor,
use
though.
the
That's
word
not- that's
disgusting,
not
right?
disgusting.
So you just mentioned the polar opposite of what we are, right? But why would you look at them and be disgusted versus concerned? Very specific word, and it has very specific connotations behind it. And when it's used, it's somewhat weaponized as well.
I don't think we can help how we feel. I don't think I can choose like, oh, I just am not. It would be sitting here and lying. I'm not going to sit here and lie. I'm always going to be honest with people. I'm disgusted. This is just how I feel.
The thing is, when you see a fat person, the reason why it's disgusting and the reason why there's so much pushback on this whole body positivity and people make fun of Lizzo, rightfully so, by the way, is because it's unattractive, it's unhealthy. Until we had this woke era, they used to put like models and attractive people on the cover of magazines that were in shape. Why? So that people can aspire to look like that. And it's healthy and it looks better in general. You look good, feel good. But when you're fat, it says a lot about you. People aren't going to sit there and be like, let me see if he's a good person. No, they're just going to assume that you're lazy, which you are, by the way, when you're fat, and you don't have discipline, which you are, by the way. So they're just going to assume off of what they see. That's the world that we live in.
I love how you just you stated a shit ton of assumptions. You didn't state not one fact. You just stated assumptions.
I want to move on to the next prompt, but we're definitely.
Can I say one thing?
I'll start by saying I've abused my body many times. Being a bodybuilder, a professional bodybuilder, I've abused steroids, did that for over 10 years. I don't think you can get to the level that you have to get to be at to be a professional bodybuilder while being natural. And so absolutely, and I would say that somebody trying to abuse steroids to get that muscle, to get that look is just as unhealthy as somebody who's obese. So I don't try to be a hypocrite. I say I've done these poor choices. I'm 48 now, I don't do steroids anymore. And so I recognize that what I did in the past was bad, probably took years off my life. And so I would
That's
say
great
to people who are
for
overweight,
his age.
why don't you do the same thing? And if you're not, then do you really care about your health? Because if you do, you would stop doing the things that are leading to being morbidly obese.
But then to your own argument, you spent 10 years doing something you knew was inherently unhealthy.
Correct.
But then you're going to turn around and tell people that they should just wake up. But like, why
Yes,
it took you-
exactly.
it took you 10
Like
years
people
to
should
wake
have
up.
told me, Greg, why do you keep doing this to yourself? You do not recognize what's going to happen, and if we call it shaming. Why are you abusing steroids, Greg? Think of it. Think of the years you're taking off your life. Maybe I would have waited.
But the power was in your own awakening, right? The power right there was in your own awakening to realize within yourself that you were doing something negative, and then you made the change for it, right? And that change is now consistent. That change is now something that you can give a testimony about and help other people change their ways or persuade people to just not do it at all, right?
But building on what you said, what was the moment, where the perspective shifted?
Well, I got old enough and realized I can't get any better at this. I can keep taking more and more drugs and try to sustain this, but I said, it's not worth it anymore. So I had to completely change my mind around what I was doing, which was being judged on my appearance. And remember, I make money on how I look, and so that's going to have a huge impact on me. And I had to say, I need to get my dopamine, my self-worth from something else. So I quit doing all the bodybuilding competitions, and I said, I'm going to start riding bikes. I'm going to learn Spanish. I'm going to do something else where I can feel good about myself. And it's hard. Like, look at this guy, 300 pounds of muscle. 20 years from now, is he going to want to still be this size? He might look back and say, I maybe regret certain things. And I think if somebody's overweight, they're going to think the same things. Like, if you're 400, 500, 600 pounds, you're going to think, is it worth doing this? Is it worth eating all the time? It's tough.
I think this is the first actual middle ground I think we're finding, which is really great because it's true. I mean, I've been harmful to myself on both sides of the spectrum. There were times I was taking, 20 to 30 diet pills and laxatives a day, eating less than 400 calories a day, working out nonstop. And then there's the other times where I was eating way too much, smoking way too much, drinking way too much, and abusing my body in the other way. I think we all come to the realization of what we're doing is harmful in different ways at different times. Like, it took you 10 years to realize that was harmful. My thing is sometimes it takes people who might be overweight or, at that high tier, that 500, 600 pounds, to realize that it's harmful for them. And maybe in their life, they don't feel like it's harmful. And they are happy. There are people, believe it or not, legitimately happy in certain sizes and
Ignorance
shapes.
is bliss. I was happy at the moment. I felt like it was.
But why is there bliss an issue?
Ignorance is bliss, but you could die before you wake up.
But you could have done the same thing taking steroids. That's
exactly.
my
I could have died doing what I did, and so is it not my responsibility to tell people, don't copy me, and so it not be somebody who's,
and I don't think there's
500
anything wrong
pounds
with that.
to do the same thing.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Even when you said before, you're like, well, I wish someone had shamed me, saying, what are you going to do? You're going to kill yourself. That's not shaming to me. To me, that is compassionate and looking out for somebody. It's when you take it to the other level where you start insulting them, degrading them, making them feel like shit.
As men, we insult each other and shame each other, but it's as a friend. Like, this is what guys do. Girls don't do it. They all suck up to each other. You're all tens. Guys are like, look at your gut, look at your belly. You
stop saying what girls do.
I know, that's what no, it's important to
I'm telling you what they do.
The
It's
masculine
fact.
from the feminine, because it's guys talking here, and I think it's important to distinguish when something is feminine to say, well, we don't adhere to that over here.
Yeah, but there's been no shortage of generalizations on women in this
I don't know
episode so
about
far,
if it's
and I'm really curious about your
masculine,
answer to this
yes.
prompt regarding self-abuse, bodily abuse.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a lifetime natural. I've never taken a drug before in my life. However, I was an athlete in college, and obviously when you're a Division I athlete, you're training two to three times a day. It was very, very intensive. I would train through injuries, which wasn't intelligent, but at the end of the day, I looked at it like, hey, we got to win. We got, some teams to beat this season, so it built a mental fortitude. I think abuse is good to a degree if you're able to overcome it and learn something from it.
I did a lot of stupid things. Like I broke the world record in the bench press, and now I can't bench press anymore. And it was my favorite lift. I've had hip operations. I have both elbows reconstructed.
Okay, this whole, what Myron just said, it kind of, comment below. I want to hear y'all thoughts. Abuse is good to a certain degree. Do y'all agree with that? What are your thoughts? Because abuse to me is something that's very harmful. Not just physically, but mentally. It can cause damage severely to a person. So to say that abuse is good to a certain degree, I don't necessarily agree with that. I don't condone any form of abuse. I feel like if you are abusing yourself, that means that you truly don't like yourself. And I believe that there are fit people who do not like themselves, who never like themselves, no matter how much weight they've lost. And what I advocate for is for people to practice self-love first. You have to practice self-love first, because once you practice self-love, then you'll begin to realize, okay, me being overweight, me being unhealthy is not good for my well-being. That's self-love. That's realizing that I love myself too much to let myself die, let myself have diseases, allow myself to be unhealthy. If you have children, you're loving yourself enough to take care of yourself so that your child has a parent for the next 10, 15, 20, 30 plus years. So you can work out till you're blue in the face and lose all the weight that you want to, but if you don't practice self-love, no matter how fit you are, you're always going to find something about yourself. For example, celebrities. There are so many celebrities in this world that are fit, okay? They have the perfect bodies, but they're always critiquing themselves all the time. They're getting surgeries. They're getting this done to their body. They're doing this. Nothing is ever good enough because they haven't practiced self-love. They just love the attention. And then once they get it, they start nitpicking about certain things of themselves. For me, baby, I'm practicing self-care, self-love, and I am on this weight loss journey, because by the time I am at my fittest, I will be confident of myself. I don't have to seek validation from anybody. I will be happy with my own body. I will not try and pick parts of my body to nip and tuck and all of that. I'll be happy with myself. So that's what it boils down to. You can have the fit body, you can all of that, but if you don't love yourself, you're always going to try and seek validation. You're always going to try and fix something.
I trained too hard. I couldn't stop myself. All that pressure, desire, whether it was installed by myself or from others, to try to fit in, to be socially accepted. And I was addicted. I was bench pressing with shoulder pain. I should have stopped. I couldn't. And so, I set the record and it's done. I can't even lift anymore. I don't squat, bench, or deadlift, because look at Ronnie Coleman. You guys know Ronnie Coleman? He's in a wheelchair. He can hardly walk. He's in pain medications. And imagine putting your body through all that torture, and then you get in your 60 and now you can't do anything.
So one question I have for you then is, knowing what you did obviously has allowed you to create this platform to speak to these things, to talk about steroid abuse. You understand all the intricacies. Do you think that you would have been able to do that, let's say, if you'd kept your natural status throughout your whole career, you didn't break world records, you weren't an IFBB pro, you didn't have all of those accolades to stand on? Do you think you would still be Greg Doucette and have all the following you do?
I do not think so. I think I'm one of those 1 in a million cases that was able to do what I do and actually got the success that I got. But if I look back and I'm really honest with myself, I regret doing these things. I was natural world champion and I was breaking world records natural, so I had the records, but I wanted more. I wanted more glory. I wanted more people to say, "You're cool, we like you." And so I ended up...
That's an example of not loving yourself. You get all this validation, and ladies, I want to definitely emphasize this to you guys, because we live in a world where we have to have these perfect bodies. 5 years ago, it was the BBL culture. Now it's slim thick. You got to be super skinny. Like, it's always something for women. I feel like society and culture is always trying to make women feel insecure about themselves. And let me just say this to you ladies, like, love who God has created you to be. You look the way that you do for a reason. Okay, I'm not saying embrace obesity. Not saying that at all. But the way that you are, just enhance it by being the fittest version of yourself. Okay? Your body is different than the next person. If you got a flat booty, honey, it's okay. Go to the gym. Go to the gym and do them squats, baby, okay? Because it will look a lot more natural and it'll suit your body just the way that it's supposed to. Because when you lift weights, it's just going to enhance. It's going to look so natural and so good, okay? Speaking for me, I've always had like a little but okay, I'm not going to talk too much. No, I am, because I'm planning on sharing my fitness journey with y'all. But maybe this donkey that I got now, maybe. So my point is, love who you are first, okay? Really, truly love who you are. Forget the peer pressure. Forget what society says that you're supposed to look like, okay? Embrace your true beauty. Embrace who you are and be your best by being the fittest, okay? Because then you'll attract who you're supposed to attract, okay? But that's
Taking steroids.
another topic. All right, let's fast forward. Let's do 10 more minutes.
I'm just gonna say it, the elephant in the room. Every fat person would want to be in shape. The problem is that they're not willing to do what's required to get in shape, hence why they are fat.
But it's abundantly clear what you think. Like we've got
lie.
it.
Kudos to you.
It's a lie.
The next prompt is, your physique is in your control. Can the agreeers please step forward?
So long story short, in 2018, I got to my heaviest weight, which was 441 pounds, and I was depressed as, like, I'm not gonna cuss, but
You can say it.
I was depressed as fuck, man. Like, it was really hard. My weight had built like a cage around my mind. So even things that I knew were good for me, I couldn't even like go for it because my mentality was just so messed up. And it got to the point to where I had someone tell me, like, dude, you're gonna die. And that hurt, you know? And I just flip things around. And I think one thing we haven't mentioned is accountability. I think that's the biggest thing. When I was growing up, my weight was always blamed on someone else. I was like, oh, it's my parents feeding me too much. And it's like, you can close your mouth. Like, I don't have to eat, you know? But when I finally made that change in my head, I realized that where you're at, given like the ideal circumstances, it is your choice. I am where I'm at now because I made a series of wrong choices and didn't handle myself correctly.
I mean, you deserve to be depressed if you're fat. I mean, the reality is that, see, depression is a very healthy response to inadequacy. When you're a man, you got to go out there and produce. We're not women where we can just coast on our looks and make it through life. As a man, you must produce financially.
I gotta cut you off, bro, because no one deserves to be, like, people die from that shit, bro. Like, no one deserves to be depressed.
Let me finish. The reason why you feel depressed, and it's a healthy response to you being fat, is because it's your body telling you, like, wow, what are you doing? You need to fix this. You're sad because you're not going out there and accomplishing what you're supposed to do. It's your masculine duty to make money, to be successful, to lose weight, to be strong and fit so that you can protect and provide for the people that you love. And when you're not able to do that, you get depressed and you get sad, rightfully so, because you're a fuck up.
Have you experienced depression?
Well, I've had times where I've been sad and stuff, but I always get over it.
So you shouldn't speak on it then.
I think that's very insensitive people who actually have mental health disabilities.
Depression most of the time is not real. No.
That's fucking wild.
No.
That's fucking wild.
It's not.
What? What world does Myron live in, okay? To say that depression is not real, I believe that depression is very real and it's a spirit, okay? I believe in spirits, okay? And depression is an actual spirit. I've been depressed before. I know people who have been depressed before. It's a real thing. So for him to say that is very insensitive, Myron. Lord, you need a smack in the back of the head. I'm just kidding. I don't condone violence.
A lot of the times when people are depressed, it's because of their own inadequacies. You're messing up in something in your life.
Is that an inadequacy?
He doesn't mean in all cases.
No, he's saying like in the majority.
When you say a blanket statement,
there's
like
always
that,
going to be
right?
exceptions, but I'm speaking generally in this context of being fat and why you were depressed. It's because
that wasn't the only reason why I was depressed. But go on.
Okay, but it's a component. You know what I mean?
It was a big component.
It was
for
a
sure.
response to your inadequacy as a man. And the thing is that we live in a meritocracy. I know everyone likes to run around and say, oh, everyone's equal and it's all equality for everyone. No, that's not how the world works. Why the fuck should I be treated equally to someone who's fat, broke, not disciplined, and not as intelligent? It's a competition. Life is a competition.
Where are you getting the notions that people are not disciplined? Where is that coming from?
If you look at depressed guys, etc., look at their life. 9 out of 10 times, they're not going to the gym, they're not making the money that they're supposed to be making, they're not where they need to be. Show me a guy that's making money, successful, has a good set of friends around him, has a network, etc., that is depressed. You would rarely find that. Are there exceptions to the rule? Of course. There's always exceptions to the rule. There's always exceptions to the rule.
He's an extremist. Myron is such an extremist. My goodness. I'm just curious to know how he was raised. Like how his parents, and I know that, and I don't think he is African American. I think his parents are Middle Eastern or something. And I respect all cultures because I know every culture is different. Asian culture, they're pretty strict too. You know, they have a very strict values and things that they believe in, but man, like, it's like very militant. Like, I would not want to be his wife. I would not want to be his child. I would not. I probably have him as a friend that I can talk to like every 5 years about something. Like if I was falling off, honey, and I needed someone to get me back in shape, I'm calling Myron, okay? Because Myron is going to give it to you raw, uncut, baby. He don't care about your feelings. He don't care about none of that, okay?
There's always exceptions to the rule, but in general,
understand that it's not black and white.
When you get depressed, a lot of the times it's because you're a fuck up and it's your body's natural response to you being a fuck up.
Has anyone here ever felt like they didn't have control over their body or their physique?
There's times where I felt like I didn't have the control I wanted, but there was never a point where I'm like, this isn't within my ability to do.
Yeah, I think we all go through stages, especially mental health.
You wish it was easier sometimes, but other than that, it's like, no, of course I'm in control of it. I know I am.
So, I've started a fitness journey. I've been smaller, I've been bigger. I used to be a dancer. This really was what fueled me, hit a depression. I turned to food as, something to comfort me. And I realized that I was spiraling, right? Started working out again, kind of fell off of it. But this year I told myself it was my year of renaissance, right? That I was going to actively make the changes in all aspects of my life, including my health, including what my body looks like and what my body is capable of. And so I've been doing that. Now, did that mean that I was any less of a hard worker? No. I fucking worked 3 jobs. 2 of them that I love and 1 of them as a survival job to make sure that I'm able to continue doing what I love. So I go to the gym every single day.
So I think he said he had a personal trainer. If you have a personal trainer, I don't know where all of the emotion is coming from, Tevin. I don't know, but I feel like there's some sort of emotion coming from him. And yeah, baby, like, I don't know if he'd be honest about that, because trainers, if you have a good personal trainer, the feelings and emotions are going to go out the door. Okay? They're not going to want to hear the excuses. They're not going to hear all that. And and I'm not trying to discredit what he's saying, but I just don't think that he's being fully honest about going to the gym, because if you're going to the gym and you're working with a personal trainer, your mindset is going to shift, okay? Because personal trainers are not going to take it lightly on you, especially if you have a good personal trainer. So either he ain't got a good personal trainer, or I don't think he's being completely honest, because, yeah.
After work. It doesn't matter what time I get off of work. It doesn't matter what things that I have going on after work, I go. But again, going back to assumptions, you looked at me and you made assumptions about laziness, about not caring about my health and things like that, when that's the complete opposite. I reached out, I got myself a trainer, because I was like, I can't do this alone. And I told him straight up, these are the things that I want you to work on with me. I want to work on building mass, losing weight, but most importantly, consistency. And I feel like all of you guys can agree that that's what it is, right? Am I where I ideally want to be yet? No. But I also learned that I needed to love myself as I am right now and build those tools so that when I get to where I'm going, I can enjoy it that much more, because it's a labor of love.
True. I agree.
It doesn't
with
have to be a labor of love. Some people who are overweight, are they going to the gym? Are they putting the fork down? Are they doing the things they need to do? If they spent 14 hours a week doing cardio and eating healthy, they would lose the weight. I spend 14 hours a week learning Spanish, even though I am horrible at it, but I'm trying my best. And if everyone else tried their best, we wouldn't see anyone morbidly obese on this planet.
I don't disagree with you at all, but I think you said it's like you're spending 14 hours doing Spanish. For me, I still work out every week. I still prioritize my health, but there are other things in my life that do
Eat
take
half
a higher
the calories, and you're going to be
Right. You're saying you're working out, but you're not eating healthy. Okay? I did that. I would be going hard in the gym. I'm talking about booty sore, arm sore, abs sore, all of that. But I'm coming home and I'm getting Uber Eats. I'm getting Del Taco. I'm getting McDonald's. I'm getting Chick-fil-A. And all that hard work is in vain. It really is. Because you're working out, but you're still eating. You're not in a calorie deficit. So you're not going to lose weight. So to say that you're going to the gym, but you're not prioritizing your diet, you're not eating healthy whole grains foods, you're eating tons of calories, it defeats the purpose.
very skinny.
But that doesn't
Guaranteed.
matter to me. That's the whole thing.
I'm not saying you need to. I'm just saying no one should make excuses.
And that's why I think that's why we all sat down. I totally agree. It's within my, because I've gotten really svelte in my past, but I was at like my worst state mentally. Like didn't feel good. Wasn't prioritizing the things that meant something to me in my life. My career, my family, my daughter.
Let me tell you something. If he got fit, baby, this would be a model for sure. He is very handsome. Very handsome man. If he were to take his fitness, and he already does modeling as a plus size guy, but baby, I see it. I know how to identify models, okay? I see it. Ashley Graham. Y'all Google Ashley Graham. Ashley Graham is gorgeous, okay? And she's a plus size model. But even she prioritizes eating healthy and working out. Ashley Graham is probably the highest paying plus size model out right now. Gorgeous. But even she takes health serious. So
health is still super important to me. That's why I still work out, still lift, still do cardio, still hike, still bike, still do all those things. The amount of time I've had to spend in the past to get to that isn't worth it in my daily life. I'd rather spend that time, focusing on that.
Also, would you agree, like looking at his physique, like he's at a perfectly, I would say, maybe healthy.
No.
You think?
He's definitely overweight, definitely obese.
I mean, if you count BMI,
I'm not trying to put you down, just being honest.
By a BMI standpoint,
But there's a big difference between this weight and if you gain 200 pounds. But if you gain 200 pounds and be like...
Overall, I think we should take our health serious. I'm never going to promote obesity, but I'm never going to shame someone either for being overweight. I think that there are many factors to why a person is overweight. Stress, depression, all of those things. But what it boils down to, guys, is being accountable. Okay? Stop making excuses. Stop pointing the fingers at everything and everyone, and look within yourself and say, you know what? I have a problem. I need to learn how to control what I put in my mouth. I need to go and work out, because it's an 80-20 rule. 80% of you losing weight is what you eat. The other 20% is working out. So if you're doing 20% working out, but then you're eating unhealthy 80% of the time, it's not going to benefit you. So I think that we all should first love ourselves, learn how to take care of ourselves mentally, spiritually, all of those things. And then that's when we can start working on becoming better physically. Because guess what? Example of people who are fit but are super condescending and pouring all this negativity into other people. Not acceptable. And we don't want to be like that. We don't want to bring children into this world that are like that. We want to teach them about loving themselves and then becoming the best version of themselves. And how do we do that? We have to start with ourselves as an example. Remember, like, share, subscribe. Until next time. Bye.